Rain poured heavily on the rooftop as Linda, 8 months pregnant, stood outside the house she once called home. Her dress was soaked, her hands shaking, and her eyes filled with fear and confusion. Inside, her husband Daniel shouted again, "Leave my house, Linda. I don't care if you're carrying my child, just go." The neighbors gathered silently, whispering. Nobody understood what could push a man to do this to his own pregnant wife. Linda took a slow step back as Daniel slammed the door shut with so much force that the windows rattled. Lightning flashed across the sky, lighting up Daniel's face through the glass window. And what she saw made her heart jump. It wasn't anger anymore. It was fear, like something inside the house was scaring him. Not her, but before she could speak, another voice whispered from behind the door, "Daniel, you shouldn't have done that." Linda froze. Who said that? A woman? A stranger? Someone hiding inside their home? But the truth behind that voice was far darker than anything Linda imagined. Before I continue, tell me in the comment section, where are you watching from? Now, let's go back to the beginning. Daniel and Linda had once been the couple everyone admired in the neighborhood. He worked as a mechanic, smart and hardworking. She was a small-time fashion designer with a warm smile that melted hearts. When Linda got pregnant, their joy seemed complete. At first, but slowly, things changed. At first it was small. Daniel became quiet at dinner, longer hours at work, late-night phone calls he always hid from her. Linda noticed, but she kept telling herself, maybe he is stressed because the baby is coming. But one day, she found something strange. Linda went to wash Daniel's work clothes. Inside his trouser pocket, she found a neatly folded piece of paper, a woman's handwriting, big, bold, and confident. It read, "Tonight, same place. Don't be late." Linda felt a cold shock run through her stomach. She tried to breathe, but her chest felt tight. Instead of shouting or crying, she waited. When Daniel came home that night, she handed him the note. "Daniel, what is this?" she asked softly. His face changed immediately. Not guilt, not shame, but fear. He snatched the note and tore it into pieces like it was something dangerous. "You shouldn't have touched that," he snapped. Linda stepped back, frightened. "What's going on with you?" she whispered. But Daniel only shook his head and walked away, leaving her alone in the kitchen. That night, Linda cried into her pillow, wondering if she was losing her husband. The next morning, she made his favorite breakfast, yam and egg sauce. She even wrote a small note, "I love you. Please talk to me." But Daniel barely touched the food. He grabbed his car keys and left without a word. The silence in the house grew heavier every day. One afternoon, Linda was returning from her prenatal checkup when she saw a woman standing outside their gate. Tall, beautiful, wearing bright red lipstick that almost glowed. The woman smiled when she saw Linda. "You must be Linda," she said. Linda's heart skipped. "Do I know you?" "No," the woman replied, smiling wider. "But your husband knows me very well." She walked away before Linda could ask anything else. Linda stood frozen, one hand on her belly, feeling the baby kick. Something wasn't right. Something was very wrong. Over the next few days, Daniel refused to make eye contact. He avoided Linda like she was a problem. At night, he had nightmares, violent ones. He'd wake up sweating, shouting, "Leave me alone. I didn't do anything." Linda tried to touch him to calm him down, but he shoved her hand away. "Don't touch me," he yelled. That was when she knew something had taken over her husband's heart. But she didn't know what or who. 2 nights before the stormy evening when Linda was thrown out, she heard knocking on the door. Soft, gentle, but strange. Daniel jumped up from the couch, terrified. "Don't open it," he whispered. But his hands were shaking so badly that Linda became scared too. The knocking grew louder. Daniel finally gathered courage and opened the door a tiny crack. The same woman in red lipstick stood there. Daniel's face went pale. "What do you want from me?" he whispered. The woman smiled and leaned close to the door crack. "You made a promise, Daniel, and you know promises must be kept." Linda, standing a few steps away, gasped, "Daniel, who is she?" But instead of answering, Daniel slammed the door and locked it, breathing hard. Linda stepped back, confused and afraid. "What promise? What is she talking about?" she asked. But Daniel didn't answer. He just stared at the door like something horrible was waiting outside. The next day, the tension exploded. Daniel came home angry, shaking, confused, like he had lost control of his own mind. Linda approached him gently. "Please tell me what's wrong. I'm your wife. I'm carrying your child. Don't shut me out." But instead of speaking, Daniel snapped. "Leave me alone. You brought bad luck to this house." Linda held her belly, stepping back as tears filled her eyes. "Bad luck? Daniel, what are you saying?" But his eyes were wild, unfocused, like he wasn't talking to her, but to someone she couldn't see. And then, in one sudden burst of fear and anger, he pushed her out of the house. "Get out, Linda, before it's too late." She stumbled and fell to her knees. Pain shot through her stomach as thunder roared above. Linda looked up just in time to see the door slam. And then, that voice, that same unknown woman whispered from inside, "Daniel has begun." Linda's breath caught her throat as lightning lit up the sky. What had begun? What promise? Who was the woman? And why was Daniel acting like something, or someone was controlling him? Linda grabbed the wall, trying to stand, trying to understand. But when she looked through the window, she saw Daniel kneeling on the floor, crying, and a shadowy figure standing right behind him. A figure that wasn't human. The rain still fell hard as Linda pressed her hands against her belly, terrified by what she had just seen through the window. Inside the house, Daniel was on his knees, crying like a child. But it wasn't the crying that frightened Linda. It was the dark figure standing behind him. Tall, still, watching him. The figure didn't move, didn't breathe, but somehow it felt alive. Linda blinked hard, hoping her eyes were lying. But when she opened them again, the figure slowly tilted its head, as if it could see her through the glass. Linda gasped and stumbled back. And then, the window went dark. The shadow was gone. Let's rewind to 2 months earlier, when everything was still peaceful. Linda remembered that day clearly. She had cooked lunch for Daniel at his workshop. She wanted to surprise him, make him smile, remind him that they were still a team. When she entered, the workers greeted her warmly. But Daniel wasn't happy to see her. He rushed to her side and whispered, "Why did you come here? You should have called." Linda smiled, even though she felt hurt. "I just wanted to check on you. I brought food." But Daniel kept looking around the workshop nervously, as if he expected someone to appear. Someone he didn't want Linda to meet. That was the first time she felt like an outsider in her own marriage. That evening, while they ate, Daniel suddenly stopped chewing. His eyes turned distant. "Linda," he finally said softly, "do you believe people can make deals that come back later to destroy them?" Linda placed her spoon down. "What do you mean?" Daniel shook his head quickly. "Nothing. Forget it." But she didn't forget. Not when his voice sounded so scared and so guilty. Thunder cracked again, pulling Linda back to now. She needed help. She needed someone to open the door for her. She held her belly and knocked gently. "Daniel, please." Her voice trembled. "The baby? I can't stand out here." No answer. "Daniel!" She tried again, louder. Still nothing. She was about to knock a third time when the door unlocked slowly. Her heart jumped with hope. Maybe Daniel had finally come back to his senses. But when the door opened fully, there was no one standing there. The house was silent. Too silent. Linda stepped back, fear climbing up her spine. Something wasn't right. Something was calling her inside, and it wasn't Daniel. She took one slow step away from the door. But before she could run, a hand grabbed her shoulder from behind. Linda screamed. She turned around quickly, only to see Mr. Cunnell, their elderly neighbor. "Linda, what are you doing outside in this rain?" he asked in a worried tone. Linda's knees went weak with relief. Daniel pushed me out, and something is happening to him." Mr. Cunnell looked at the house with a deep frown. He pushed his glasses up. Tell me exactly what you saw. Linda hesitated. Would he even believe her? She took a breath and whispered. There was something behind him. A shadow. It wasn't human. Mr. Cunnell stepped back suddenly, as if her words struck him hard. What did you say? He asked sharply. A shadow, Linda repeated. Tall, watching him. The old man's face changed. Not confusion, not disbelief, but recognition. Like he had seen this before. Come, he said quickly. We can't stay here. He led her to sit under his veranda. He wrapped her in a dry cloth, and she felt a little safer. Now, tell me when this started, he said. Linda explained everything. The late nights, the strange woman with red lipstick, the note, the knocking, the whispers, and finally, the shadow. When she finished, Mr. Cunnell sighed deeply. Linda, he said, I think I know what is happening to your husband. Linda's heart raced. What is it? Please tell me. The old man looked around nervously before speaking. Before you married Daniel, he came to me one night. It was very late. He was crying. He said he needed money urgently or something bad would happen to him. Linda frowned. Money? What for? I don't know, the old man replied. But he was desperate. Too desperate. I offered to lend him some money, but he refused. He said the amount he needed was far bigger. Linda's lips parted. But Daniel never told me this. Mr. Cunnell nodded slowly. And that night, I heard him say something strange. He said, I will repay it before she finds out. I promise. She? Linda asked softly. The old man swallowed hard. Yes. He wasn't talking about a bank or a person I know. Then he added something that made Linda's blood run cold. 3 months ago, a woman wearing bright red lipstick came asking for him. Linda froze. She looked dangerous, the old man whispered, and she left a warning. She said, Tell Daniel time is running out. Linda covered her mouth in shock. That was the same woman who came to their gate. Mr. Cunnell, who is she? Linda whispered. The old man lowered his voice. I don't think she's human. Linda's heart dropped. Then what is she? The old man looked at her with deep sorrow. Someone Daniel made a promise to. While Linda was outside with Mr. Cunnell, Daniel was losing his mind inside. He crouched on the floor, hands over his head, trembling. I did what you asked, he whispered into the darkness. I did everything. Please leave me alone. A cold wind swept across the room, even though the windows were shut. Then that voice filled the house again. Soft, female, and chilling. A promise is a promise, Daniel. Daniel cried harder. But I don't want any more. I made a mistake. Another cold breeze brushed his neck. Too late. Back outside, Linda tried to stand but felt dizzy. The stress and fear were too much. Sit my daughter, Mr. Cunnell said. You need to stay calm for the baby. But Linda shook her head. My husband is in danger, she whispered. I can't just sit here. Before the old man could stop her, she stood up and faced the house again. Her fear was gone. Her love was stronger. I'm going back inside, she said. Linda, wait, the old man shouted. But she was already walking toward the open door. Her heart pounded. Her feet shook. The rain had stopped, but the air felt heavy. She took a step inside. The living room was dark, silent, cold, too cold. Daniel, she called softly. No response. She walked further into the house. Daniel, please, were you? Still silence. Then she heard it, a soft whimper, coming from the bedroom. She pushed the door gently. What she saw made her freeze. Daniel was sitting on the floor, hugging himself. His eyes were red. He looked broken. But that wasn't the scary part. The shadow figure she saw earlier, it was now standing directly in front of him. Its form was darker, clearer. Its eyes glowed faintly. And when Linda gasped, the shadow turned its head toward her. Slowly, deliberately, like it had been waiting. The shadow took one silent step toward Linda. Daniel shouted, Linda, run. She's not here for me. She's here for the baby. Linda's heart stopped. The shadow stretched its hand toward her belly. and whispered, "The child belongs to us." Linda stood frozen, her heart beating so loud she could hear in her ears. The shadowy figure, dark, tall, silent, extended its hand toward her belly as if it wanted to touch what was inside. Daniel crawled forward on his knees, screaming, "Linda, move! Don't let her near you!" But Linda couldn't move. Her body refused. Her legs felt like stone. The room grew colder with every second, and the lights flickered wildly. Then the shadow whispered again, soft, slow, and terrifying, "The child belongs to us." Suddenly her baby kicked. Hard. A sharp pain shot through her stomach, snapping her out of the shock. She stumbled backward, one hand on her belly. "No!" she cried. "You can't have my baby." The moment she rejected the shadow, something strange happened. Its arm pulled back slightly, as if her resistance pushed it away. Daniel saw it too. He wiped his tears and shouted, "Linda, she can't touch you if you fight her. Don't let her in." The shadow hissed and turned sharply toward him. Then it rushed at Daniel like a wave of darkness. He fell backward, hitting the wall behind him. "Daniel!" Linda screamed, but the shadow wrapped around him like smoke, strangling a flame. Daniel gasped, coughing, shaking, his hands clawing at the air. "I can't breathe. Linda, help!" Linda tried to run to him, but again something held her feet, like invisible ropes tying her down. The shadow tightened its grip around Daniel. He screamed. Then everything went dark. The lights blew out. The room went silent. When the house lights snapped on again by themselves, Daniel lay shaking on the floor. The shadow was gone, but the air still felt wrong. Linda rushed to him. "Daniel, talk to me, please." He held her hand tightly, crying uncontrollably. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Linda." She touched his face gently. "Sorry for what?" He turned his head away, ashamed. Then he finally said the word she never expected. "I made a deal for money before we got married." Her heart dropped. "A deal with who?" she whispered. Daniel swallowed hard. "With her." Linda stepped back, terrified. That woman, the red lips, the shadow, it all made horrible sense. Daniel continued, voice shaking. "When I lost my job years ago, I was desperate. I needed money fast. Not for myself, but because I wanted to marry you. I didn't want to lose you." Linda covered her mouth. Daniel continued, "One night I met her. I don't know if she was a human or something else. She said she could give me money, enough to start a life with you." He paused, shaking. "I asked her what she wanted in return." Linda felt cold all over. "What did she say?" Daniel whispered, "Nothing, until your first pregnancy." Linda stepped back. The room suddenly felt too small, too hot, too dark. "You traded our child?" she whispered in a trembling voice. "No." Daniel cried. "I didn't know. She tricked me. I thought she meant something else. I didn't think she would come back. I didn't think she was real." Linda's tears fell silently. All the nights of fear, all the strange visits, all the pain, it all came from that one night, that one promise. Suddenly, a cold wind rushed into the room again. The curtains flew up even though the windows were closed. Daniel's eyes widened in horror. "No, she's coming back." Linda grabbed his arm. "Daniel, what does she want with our baby?" He shook his head in fear. "She said the child will not belong to this world." Linda gasped. "What does that mean?" Before Daniel could answer, they heard the front door slam open. Bang! Both of them jumped. Heavy footsteps entered the house. One step, then another. Slow, confident. Linda's heart raced. "Who is that?" Daniel whispered. "It's her." The bedroom door creaked open on its own. A tall figure stood in the doorway. The same woman Linda had seen before. Same red lipstick. Same perfect smile. But her eyes, they were no longer normal. They glowed faintly, like embers in a dying fire. She stepped into the room. Linda grabbed Daniel's arm. Trembling, the woman spoke calmly. "The time has come, Daniel." Daniel crawled backwards, hiding behind Linda. No, leave us alone. The woman tilted her head. I gave you everything. Money, success, a fresh start. All I asked was for what you promised. Linda's voice cracked. This is a baby. You can't take a baby. The woman's smile widened. A promise is a promise. Linda stepped in front of Daniel, protecting him. You can't have my child. The woman stared at Linda, not angry, but amused. Brave, she whispered, but useless. She raised her hand slowly, and Linda felt something, a sharp, burning pain in her stomach. She screamed. Daniel grabbed her. Linda, what's happening? The woman in red whispered. The child feels my call. Linda fell to her knees, crying in pain. Her baby kicked violently, too violently. Something was wrong. Something very wrong. Just then, a loud knock echoed through the house. Not from the woman, not from the shadow. From outside. Linda, Daniel, open this door. It was Mr. Cunnell. The woman hissed softly and turned her head toward the entrance. How annoying, she muttered. Daniel tried to stand. Help is here. You can't hurt us now. The woman smiled. You think a mortal can stop me? Linda screamed as another wave of pain shot through her. Daniel held her tightly. The woman lifted her hand again. The room darkened. The lights flickered. The air cracked with static. Her eyes glowed brighter. But then, bang! The front door burst open. Leave them! Mr. Cunnell's voice roared. And he wasn't alone. 3 old men stood behind him, holding strange wooden staffs carved with symbols. The woman's smile faded. You dare interfere? One of the old men raised a staff. A bright symbol glowed at the tip. The woman stepped back for the first time. Linda stared in shock. Who are they? Mr. Cunnell answered without turning. We are the ones who know what she is and how to stop her. The woman in red hissed. You cannot stop destiny. Mr. Cunnell pointed his staff at her. Then we will change it. Lightning flashed. The house shook. The woman screamed. And then the shadow returned behind her. And this time it wasn't alone. Dozens of glowing eyes appeared behind her in the darkness. Daniel gasped. Linda cried. Mr. Cunnell whispered, Oh, God! It's worse than I thought. The woman pointed at Linda's stomach. The child must be born tonight. The shadowy figures moved closer. Mr. Cunnell shouted, Protect her! Now! A blinding flash of light filled the room. The house shook like it would break apart. And Linda felt her water break. Linda screamed as her water broke, pain shooting through her stomach like fire. Daniel held her tightly. No, 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 Linda, stay with me. The house shook, lights flickering, shadows moving along the walls like living things. The woman in red stepped forward, her eyes glowing brighter. The child comes now, she whispered. And when it does, it belongs to us. Mr. Cunnell and the 3 elders formed a circle around Linda, their wooden staffs glowing with carved symbols. Stay behind us, one elder commanded. We will not let her take the child. But the woman in red only smiled. You cannot stop what was promised. Linda cried out again. Daniel, I can't do this. He cupped her face. You're strong, Linda. You'll be okay. I'm here. I'm not leaving again, I promise. But then, a loud cracking sound filled the room. The walls trembled. Shadows spread across the ceiling like smoke. Dozens of glowing eyes watched from the darkness. The woman in red lifted her hand. Begin, she commanded the shadows. They moved forward. The elders raised their staffs. A bright barrier of light formed around Linda and Daniel. The shadows at the barrier. Bang, bang, bang. Each strike dimmed the light. They're too strong, one elder shouted. No, Mr. Cunnell said firmly. The child is stronger. Linda screamed again. Daniel held her as she pushed. Pain, fear, and chaos swirled around them. But somewhere in her heart, a small voice whispered, Your child is not theirs. Your child is yours. The woman stepped closer, her face twisting with impatience. Daniel, she said coldly, tell your wife why I came for this child. Daniel shook his head. No, please don't. Linda looked at him, terrified. What is she talking about? The woman continued. You begged me for money. I granted it. Daniel cried. I didn't know she was real. But you made a promise, the woman said calmly. Your firstborn would serve my realm. A child born with a gift powerful enough to open a gate. Linda's heart almost stopped. A gate? She whispered. The woman nodded. A gate between worlds. Your baby is not ordinary. Linda, it carries a light that threatens us. So we must take it before it becomes strong. Linda touched her stomach protectively. No, you won't take my baby. The woman's smile faded. It is not your choice. Suddenly, a bright pulse of light flashed from Linda's stomach. All the shadows recoiled at once, hissing. The woman in red stepped back, shocked. No, this is impossible. The elders exchanged quick glances. The child is awakening, one whispered. Mr. Cunnell nodded. He was never meant to belong to darkness. Another contraction hit Linda hard. She screamed louder than before. Daniel held her. Push, Linda. Push. The shadows charged again, this time harder. Crack. The barrier broke. They rushed toward Linda, but before they could reach her, boom! A burst of light exploded from her body, filling the room. The shadows evaporated instantly. The woman in red shielded her eyes, screaming. No, this was not part of the deal. Linda collapsed into Daniel's arms as she delivered the baby. A cry filled the air. Soft, strong, beautiful. The elders stepped back in awe. Mr. Cunnell whispered, The child is blessed. Daniel held the baby, a tiny boy glowing faintly with a warm light around his skin. Linda reached out to touch him. He's perfect, she whispered. The woman in red stepped forward, shaking with rage. Give him to me. But as she reached out, the baby opened his eyes. Bright, golden, peaceful. A wave of warm light burst from him, washing through the room like a sunrise. It hit the woman in red and her shadows. She screamed as her body cracked like glass. No, you don't understand. Without this child, our realm will fall. The light grew brighter, wrapping around her. Her form broke apart, piece by piece, until she vanished completely, like dust carried by the wind. Every shadow disappeared with her. Silence filled the room. Only the baby's soft breathing could be heard. Minutes later, the house no longer shook. The lights stopped flickering. Everything felt calm and warm. Linda held her newborn son close, tears rolling down her cheeks. Daniel knelt beside her. I'm sorry, Linda. I'm so sorry for everything I caused. She looked at him, not with anger, but with exhaustion and truth. You should have told me, Daniel. I know, he whispered. I'll spend my life making it right. Mr. Cunnell smiled softly. The child saved all of you. His light was stronger than her darkness. One of the elders added, He is special, but you must raise him with love. Love is what protected him tonight. Linda nodded, brushing her son's cheek. We will protect him. Always. Just as they thought the night was over, the baby opened his golden eyes again and looked at the doorway. Everyone turned. A soft, warm glow appeared there. Not scary. Not dangerous. A peaceful light, like a blessing. Mr. Cunnell smiled. The realms acknowledge his arrival. He is chosen but free. Linda held her son tightly. Daniel kissed her forehead, and for the first time in months, the house felt like home again. Peaceful, safe, whole. The nightmare was over. A new life had begun. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth. Like, comment, and share the video so others can learn from this powerful message. Thank you for watching. And until the next story, stay strong, stay hopeful, and stay blessed.